I think investors are definitely having their eyes on Melbourne because it's just a matter of time. It looks like a ticking time bomb before it really takes off. It's crazy to me that Melbourne doesn't have more value in it. I mean, there's value there, but the prices don't reflect it. My ultimate purchase would be a penthouse that doesn't share, like it is a true penthouse.
Yeah.
I've got my eye on one I can't afford in Melbourne at the moment.
The opportunity of choice exists in the US. For us in Australia, we have 8 choices.
Yeah.
And so people are going to be crammed into these 8 choices.
Yeah. Is this one of those unicorn properties? Yes. Equally, if I can find you better, I'll let you know I can find it. Because a lot of the time we actually spend a lot of time talking people out of properties than into properties. You cannot work with me unless you have 3 properties that are sold in the past 3 months in your area, in your budget, and if that property came up again, you would buy it.
Adelaide was doing well, then Brisbane was doing well,
Yes.
and then Perth did well. And now we're looking at Melbourne. And how are you feeling that all changed over so many years? Like, how's the feeling of this marketplace for you? Welcome to another episode of the Lazy Equity Podcast. Today we've got Emily Wallace joining us in studio today. Em is the founder of Wallace Advocacy, and she started her career at 25 years old in the industry without having a client in sight or a mentor to refer to. Today she sits at a following of more than 50,000 people across all social platforms and is a very big inspiration towards the buyer's agent community. Em, thank you so much for joining us today. It's lovely to have you back in the studio.
Great to be here. I was like, is that even me? I was like, yeah, that is me.
Yeah, who told you that? Yeah. I may have stalked a couple of things in the last 20 minutes. Welcome back. It's so nice to have you. I think you've been on our show a couple of times now.
Yeah.
And we've obviously known each other for many, many years.
We have.
And we've sort of seen each other grow up together through the reins and figured out how our businesses have run together. And today is an opportunity for me to sort of unpack a little bit more about how you've built your brand in the way that you have, because I think there's so much sentiment out there at the moment around property and negative connotation around it, which really it's probably one of those things at the moment that people just need a little bit more light on, and to shine a bit of positivity in what property has done and how it has reacted over the last 10, 15 years that we've at least had history or knowledge of the history, and how that's played into building your brand, because as time goes by, property is always going to prevail.
Yes.
And I think that's something that we've both realized.
Absolutely.
So give us a bit of a rundown. I think for me, I really want to understand a little bit about your beginning days and how you built the brand and why you made that decision.
The grind. So the beginning days, so you're right, I was 25 when I started. And that's very young to start a business, but also be a business in property. Yeah. Because I think when it comes to property, a lot of people want experience. They want someone who probably has a portfolio. I had 1 property to my name at the time. So I did own property, but it was a rough start from the industry point of view, actually, more so than the consumer point of view. I raised consumer confidence through educational content, and that's what my whole brand has been built off, continues to do so. But that comes from the fact that my degree is actually in education. A lot of people don't know that, but I'm naturally a teacher.
But you didn't go into teaching, did you?
So I spent a total of 3 days in a paid sense in the classroom.
but the passion is all there.
The passion is totally there. Yeah. I didn't think I would. If you told me at 18 you'd be running a property business at 25. Absolutely didn't think that at all, but I knew I wanted to. I had the business gene in me, definitely. I'd been thinking of ideas since I was 12, 13, 14. So I knew I wanted to run something. I just didn't know what it was.
So why property? Why specifically?
So property, like in its physical sense, I love a lot about it in terms of the diversity. That's what keeps my job so interesting, is all the different properties we get to see. But more so the gap in the market for the first home buyers is where I saw an opportunity. I was like, this makes sense. Like, I'd just gone through the process of buying, at the time, my own investment property, winging it. I'm very lucky that I actually did okay out of it, because it could have gone really sour. Yeah. But I looked at the marketplace and I was like, everybody is much older than me and no one's giving education. And it's not really accessible. A lot of BAs at the time were only high-end purchases. A lot of consumer perception was $3 million plus only because of the block, you know. So, the property angle was more so I love property.
Yeah. And then tying that onto your education piece is, I mean, you are in the home buying portion, or rather the division of buying property, but you have a very good understanding of investments. And I think that's where that connection and the ability to educate and communicate those differences and how people need to understand them better is so important. And it's a part that's misunderstood in our industry. And your voice against all these social platforms, that really helps to educate people. I think there's a lot of value that people find in that. Let's speak about those platforms. Your favorite?
TikTok.
Okay.
It's a blessing and a curse, the old TikTok. So it's funny though, Instagram's doing really well right now. And TikTok, my videos would go viral quite easily. I knew what to say, I knew what to post, and I knew I could predict what would go viral as to when I would post it and what it would be. And always my best performing content is a green screen piece of content. So I literally put the picture of the property behind me, I talk through it, I review it. I use the same format so people know what to expect in my content. And I ask people for their feedback. What do you like about this? What do you think it'll sell for? Or I point out like a quirk in the floor plan. But I post it across TikTok and Instagram now, and Instagram views have really picked up of late. Really gone quite well. But I love TikTok because it's so direct and its algorithm is insane. People be like, oh, I didn't even know that you existed, but you buy in the areas that I want to buy in, and I'm ready to use you like within a week of seeing me.
I think there's a big shift in the sort of Google AIO, which is the AI SEO basically. And there's a big adaptation and domination of what the content you put online now on the social channels, which feeds through to search results inside Google.
Yes.
And so I think your interest in TikTok back in the day has played forward to today's AI movements. And apparently
it shows up, like if you search buyer's advocate Melbourne or a certain suburb that I've reviewed, my TikTok videos will pop up. The content.
In fact, when we were chatting just before the podcast, I said to you, I saw that you wanted to come through to Sydney for a month or a month ago. That came up. Did it? Literally just about an hour ago. I've got a pretty big digital footprint out there. You do.
Lucky it's only property.
So you are coming up to Sydney more often these days. And,
I am.
I want to hear what's going on there, but we'll keep that for maybe another episode. But I think, we love having you up here, and obviously whenever you are, please knock on the door, come in for a little chat.
Always,
We always like to have you through. Have you seen the buyer's agency space change though throughout, I guess from a marketing standpoint, from a quality standpoint, from a delivery and a service standpoint? Like, how have you seen the landscape change over the last, I guess, 6, 7, 8 years?
Yeah, so I think we got in a similar time, right? 2018, thereabouts.
Yeah. Right before the fun of COVID.
Yes, exactly.
Which is kind of where we are again at the moment with sentiment, at least.
Definitely.
And we'll unpack that in a bit.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So when we both started, I think we were the new wave at the time, right? Like there hadn't been a lot of disruption in the marketplace. The idea of a buyer's agent was becoming more appealing and more accessible to people, and therefore there was a whole influx. And we're kind of now, we've been in it long enough that we're not the newbies anymore. But there's also a whole cohort above us who have been in it for like 20 plus years. Now, the 20 plus years people, when we came in, were very apprehensive about us and very skeptical. And now I see why. At the time, I was very much like, oh, that's just mean. And that's, a scarcity mindset and rah. Actually, now that I'm in it, I'm like, I don't want to be the person to say it, but experience really is key. And it's crazy that the qualification that you need to get is so minimal. There's not a buyer's agent license that is universal to Australia.
And that blows my mind.
It's crazy.
After so many years of the practice in play, and there's still no specific qualification and education around it. We're still relying on the sales activities.
It's ridiculous. Like, you and I both learnt property management, trust accounting. I don't hold any money in trust.
No, exactly.
Like, I don't have to submit any audits or whatever. It just doesn't happen. And I think, like, if Consumer Affairs properly get hold of it, I don't know what the equivalent is. Consumer Affairs just Vic? I don't know. I think it's Auswide. Some sort of ACCC.
I think ACCC,
If they actually did a bit of an investigation into what's required to be a BA, how people are marketing, and like the decisions they're helping people make, which is probably the most costly decision of their entire financial life, it's actually wild. And I think the one thing that I've always been cognizant of is that I can't take that lightly. Like, I am advising somebody why one property is better than another for their lifestyle and their needs. Now, it is ultimately their choice, And investment's different because of the data and all the rest of it. But to buy someone's home and to tell them it is not worth more than X, that is a big responsibility.
It's a massive responsibility.
Yeah, and it needs to be mandated somehow.
Absolutely, it really does. I think it's almost irresponsible to not sort of put more force and pressure on the industry that we're in.
Yeah,
especially in the investment space, because
well, yes, that's my concern, right? So to the point where, and you and I have had a relationship for years, I refer to my investor clients to you for the fact that I know you're data driven, and I don't have that in me. I am not a numbers gal by nature. I'm the educational feelings person.
And that's why you do what you do.
Exactly.
And you do it very well.
And there's room for both, you know. But the reason I chose specifically not to do investment is I didn't want the liability of saying, out of these two properties, this is going to be the one that does better, because I don't have the knowledge, the data, or the resource to actually say that to somebody.
Yeah.
And so that's what scares me about investment, is people who are just sort of winging it. Oh yeah, this looks like a good place. But by whose standard? By what data?
And that's the thing. It does scare me about, and I guess this is kind of going back into what have you seen changed over the years, is on the investment space especially, but also the introduction of AI and how people are trying to rely on AI for predictive methodologies. And these are the systems that we've been building since 2021.
Yes.
And they're on very deep machine learning algorithms. They're not AI's Claude or ChatGPT's prediction and thoughts about a market.
It doesn't cut it. That's not enough.
It doesn't.
And also, like the general consumer can do that, then they will go do that themselves.
Exactly. And they really need to sort of, put a bit of a barrier on what you can and can't say, and prove as to why you can and can't say it as well, especially if you're going to be representing somebody's fortunes. Because firstly, it's not just that they are buying a house and getting a loan. You're taking their money that they've saved very hard for a very long time.
Absolutely.
And put it into one of the most high pressure markets in Australia.
Yeah.
That's a big amount of responsibility. For there to be
It's
no
crazy.
licensing around that is, to me, absurd.
It's wild. And what probably the question was around, like, what's changed since we got in, right? My concern is that there's a lot of commentary saying that being a buyer's agent can be a part-time job or a side hustle, right?
That's kind of why I went into it at the beginning.
Oh, really?
I thought, oh, great, this will be great for a little bit of extra income.
There you go.
And I always had the idea that I was going to pivot into it.
Yes.
But I very quickly learned that you cannot pivot into it. You need to dive in deep.
All in. Real estate is not part-time in any capacity. It is not part-time. It is not a side hustle. If you actually genuinely working for the best interest of your clients, you are available at all times.
Yep.
Like, within reason. But, deals happen. Like, deals happen at 10 p.m. on a Thursday night. That's the reality of real estate.
Especially when you're working across the country.
Yeah.
And you have different time zones to satisfy.
So true. I didn't even think about that.
There is no daylight savings when Perth and Sydney come into play. It is an absolute
You're working around the clock.
You are working around the clock. Because they're working around the clock too in Perth. And let's say, they're working until 9 o'clock. You're working until midnight. Yeah. And that's the reality of it.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, to actually have somebody who can support you through that process too, and consistently do it, because obviously, the Perth market went for so long and it's still going very well.
Yes.
We've stepped out of the market because we can see the plateau coming.
Yeah.
But, for a very long time, we are cyclical. And so you move with markets. And as you move with markets, you have to adapt to those timeframes and the client's expectations for them.
Yeah. Like, I remember, being naive, coming in at 2018 and sort of like, this is okay. The Royal Commission happened, then COVID happened. And then 2021 was like, everything was just, I didn't even know if I was coming or going that year. It was crazy, right? I had the best year ever to date in the business. Obviously, I was only 3 years in, but I was like, oh my God, this is what it's going to be like. This is amazing. And I remember a director of an agency saying, and he'd been around probably 20, 25 years, he goes, this will pass and there will be a clean out. And he was referring to the sales agents, because sales agents literally were just like bouncers at a nightclub. Name, number, ID, yeah, cool, in you go. And the thing would sell itself. Yeah. And he's like, just you wait. There will be a flush out of this industry. And now that we're experiencing it a bit more on the buying side and there's more people on the buying side, the same thing will happen. Yeah. Naturally.
It will. I think everything has to sort of raise up before it can really fall down. Yeah. And I think that process is kind of in play at the moment.
Yes. And if you couple that with any sort of legislation to mandate our industry better, then it will really, the pinnacle might have been a couple months ago. Yeah, flatten out.
Yeah, which is good because I think we're past the worst.
Yes.
Or at least very close to the worst.
Yes.
But I think that sentiment of our industry, I guess, what we're talking about at the moment, is also a sentiment of the market that we work in.
Yep.
And so in turn, we're also really are on the rise of that too. And I think I want to hear your opinion on the Melbourne market, because you've been inside there for always, really. That's all you've ever done. But this was during a time where Adelaide was doing well, then Brisbane was doing well, and then Perth did well. And now we're looking at Melbourne. And how are you feeling that all change over so many years? Like, how's the feeling of this marketplace for you?
It's crazy to me that Melbourne doesn't have more value in it. Like, I mean, there's value there, but the prices don't reflect it. But then in some ways I'm like, well, it's kind of good for us. So look, I think investors are definitely having their eyes on Melbourne, because it's just a matter of time. It looks like a ticking time bomb before it really takes off. Like, all the markets, you know, in a downward turn, they're all going to go up eventually. But I think the predictions are that Melbourne really is going to be the front runner out of that. And I can see why. The problem that we have in Melbourne, and I can say this because I live there, I'm not, you know, shitting on Melbourne. It is a feeling of, we were burnt in COVID. We were locked down for the longest time ever anybody else. Everybody's mood changed, and it took a long time to come out of that, and that reflected in the market, and it reflected in a lot of people leaving, naturally. It is logically a very good city, and I liken it to, if you went to a restaurant and the decor was amazing and, you know, it's all nicely laid out and someone there to greet you, and you feel like a really good feeling, oh, it's going to be a good restaurant and have a good dinner, but the chef in the kitchen is woeful. Yeah. It doesn't work. Yeah. And unfortunately, without getting too heavily into politics, we're not a very well-run state, and that directly impacts the marketplace. It does.
And I think, but there will be a time and a place where eventually the opportunity will be seen beyond what the political governance can hold. Yeah. And I think that time is coming for Melbourne, because as you alluded to there was a lot of movement outside of Melbourne during that period, and a lot of people went up to New South Wales and Queensland, predominantly Queensland.
They're coming back though.
But they're coming back.
They're coming back. I actually put a post up about this recently, right? Yeah. And so many people tore me down being like, this is not real, this is fake news. I'm like, I'm speaking to these people. I know this is happening. Melbourne people who became Brisbane people for a period of time, bought in 2020, 2021, prices have gone wild. Yep. They are cashed up, and they're coming back to bring that injection of cash back into Melbourne. Yeah. And
but you've got to remember the demographic that moved as well. They were the more mobile population, those younger people. Yes. Those younger people have, obviously, they've gone into these areas in these eruptive markets, but they've then created families, and those families now need more space. But where do you buy more space in Queensland? At this current time, it's very expensive. And even though you got good equity buckets from the property that you purchased that you might have lived in, that's great. But a lot of those people also still rent. And that's why there's such a shortage of rental stock inside Queensland's market still. And that's why they've got one of the stronger vacancy rates rather. But when they're trying to move, where are they going to move back to? They're going to move for the same reason that they moved out, and they're going to look for that affordability opportunity again, because now they have a family to look after, and they've got a need for another bedroom or a little bit more space, and that's going to be back in Melbourne, and that feels familiar to them. Yes. And so that movement it's on the cards for a lot of people.
The middle ring of Melbourne, like there's some great buying down there. Yeah. Like, I look at what we're buying for our clients, and don't get me wrong, the property market's cooked in terms of numbers, right? We live in Australia. It's like, but relative to the other states and territories, it's like, well, actually, it makes a lot of sense. As a first home buyer, I think there's a lot of opportunity down there, but also for investment. And I know I don't play in the investment space, but I can see it through an investment lens that there's some great buying opportunity down there. And I think the eyes will be on the middle ring of, like, to give some context on suburbs like Pascoe, Glenroy, Fawkner, Reservoir in the north. Like, we do a lot of north side stuff. It's not that far from the city.
It's not that far. Yeah. But this is how it all happens, is that pricing starts at one point and then it ripples out. Yes. And as soon as places become unaffordable, the next ones become affordable, and those are the next opportunities. Yeah. It's the natural sort of flow of money in any market, really, be it property or stocks or whatever it might be. Yeah. You know, and the natural movement will cause those different suburbs to react at different times. You know, the thing about Melbourne is that, or rather Victoria, is that there's been some really good, strong development around property over the years. Yes. That was the one thing that Victoria's done quite well. Yes. And so the burn and not the burn, but the growth that's coming forward isn't going to be an eruptive explosion. It's going to be a long burn because it's well supported by the fundamentals of there is better supply. I won't say enough supply. I would say better supply than the rest of the nation.
Yeah.
And so that's just going to help us to sort of see that continuous climb for the longer period of time. And I know our friend Mr. Andrews has made some decisions, some of them quite woeful, but in some of them, there has been some support for the long term, and I think we will probably start to see that. Even, and I don't want to touch on this too much because there's been a lot of federal budget chat.
Oh, yes, of course. It's the season, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's like a lot of what the decisions are around capital gains tax and negative gearing are going to change the marketplaces. Just for a very quick insight of what the negative gearing policies we see doing towards the greater Australian population is that you've got these high-end investors that are buying $2, $3, $4 million properties, and the incentive for negative gearing is being taken away from them.
Yeah.
So what makes it a benefit for them to go and buy those properties? It's not. So what are they going to do? Because they are still investors.
Yeah,
they're going to still want to find places to put their money.
Yeah.
So they're going to go put their money into properties which can then support them from a yield perspective to make up for the negative gearing losses that don't exist anymore.
Yes.
If they get taken away.
Yeah.
And that's going to be at the lower price points. So that $400,000 to $900,000 property market is going to get more congested.
Yeah, which is the first home buyer. Hands off. Get off my first home buyers.
Exactly. But then what's going to happen at the top end of the market? It's going to start to relax.
Yes.
But that's just going to create a compression belt of high quality assets and low quality assets in one belt, really, which is going to be very difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's already hard enough as a first home buyer without competing with investors. And we have had some relief in that, I would say, in Melbourne. Most of the time, it's just first home buyer against first home buyer in most of the things that we're buying. Investors coming back in, I mean, I'm all for it in many ways, but also like protecting my little first home buyers, hands off. But I would say for the average person who doesn't have a buyer's agent on board and is an investor in kind of like DIY, you know, I think they will look at the changes and go, well, I'll just buy new, and that'll make sense.
Yeah.
And that could make sense even with having a BA. It could be the right avenue for you. I'm not discarding it. But I do think the rise of new tech, because the rules around you can buy a dwelling, knock it down, and then subdivide, and then you can still, you know, if you've made more than one dwelling because they want more supply in the private market, I think we're going to see a lot of homes that are cute looking homes in good spots be knocked down and cut up. Yeah. Which already happens, not naive to that, but I just think in a higher volume. Yeah.
I think we'll probably start to see a lot more zoning changes around that too, because obviously there's height limitations for different dwellings.
Yes.
And so if people can't go out, they've got to go up. And I question whether, because Melbourne's got some beautiful heritage areas, and I wonder how those are going to then play a part of that.
Yeah.
What that can actually mean for the future of zoning.
I tell you what, one thing about Melbourne people, particularly in certain pockets in certain communities, they are very strong about keeping their facades and the character. Yeah. And
that's what makes Melbourne Melbourne.
Yeah.
You know, there's the beautiful character of Melbourne.
Yes. Yeah, it'd be a shame to lose a lot of that, but I also can see the need for it in, like, if we're going to fix the housing problem where there's not enough supply, like, something's got to give.
100%.
One thing, though, I'm interested for your opinion on this, actually, because I think when you look at other cities in the world, apartment living is where it's at, right? Like, people live in a very small footprint for the ability to live in an inner city. And
I'm so amazed that you're actually asking this question. Yes. I've literally just done a big piece of this, but go for it.
Oh, really?
If it's where I think it's going, go for it.
Well, I like, why apartments not having their day? Like, everyone's dissing apartment living. I'm the biggest apartment advocate. Like, I have only lived in apartments since I moved out of home, bar one share house, 6 people, 1 bathroom. Not a fan. I love the security. I love the community. I love where I live. And it's a choice of actually being in an area where you have amenity all around you. I'm not picking my house for my interior of my house. It serves its purpose. But I have the park. I have the Paran markets near me. I've got the tram. I've got the train. Like, everything's there. And I don't have to clean very much. I don't have a yard to maintain. Yeah. It's great.
I'm on the same page. We've just moved.
Oh, have you? Really?
Yeah, we have. A little bit closer to the
Into
city.
an apartment?
No, not into an apartment, into another house.
Thought you converted.
No, I haven't converted, but I was on the cards about the idea.
Okay, yeah.
But, you know, for me, I do want the space. Yeah. And I think people will always find luxury in space.
But why do you want the space? That's my query.
Purely because when you start a family, you really want to have the ability to escape a little bit. Having little groms running around all the time.
Yeah,
it gets chaotic, and so you need a place for play's sake.
Yeah,
and obviously you can get some of that from apartments. But you're going to have to get a big apartment, and then also then you're going to have to shared lift access, and then you have to have people around you. And I think the luxury of space and option and an opportunity is still very, very valued, I think.
I think the difference is if people live in their home or they live in their area. Two different things. Like how much time they spend at home.
Yes. See, and there are a lot of homebodies that would like to stay at home, but there's also a lot of people that just understand their area is their place. And I think if you want to put in a perspective in a suburb in sort of Sydney that's like that, Bondi, you live in a place.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why the apartment living inside Bondi is so much more on tune with what you're saying there.
Yes.
So that makes sense, but not everywhere is a place to live, I think.
No, I forget that. I'm obviously very biased to where I live and just think that everyone's like me, but they're not.
but more interestingly, I think what you touched on there is everybody is sort of forced to stay inside the areas that are the major zones of Australia, because we are, in reality, if you look at the US versus Australia, now, massive population change difference. So there's 348 or 349 million people in the US.
Is there? Oh my God. Okay.
And there's 28 million. We just ticked over the other day in Australia.
Yeah.
But they've got 50 states. We've got 8.
Yeah.
And the difference there is that the opportunity of choice exists in the US, and that then diversifies so many different people to have so many different commercial and industrial and economic hubs where they can make their employment options, their living lifestyles and their choices to go to these different places and work. For us in Australia, we have 8 choices.
Yeah.
And so people are going to be crammed into these 8 choices.
Yeah.
And so to your point, unless we adapt and go up,
or
we create new cities and go out.
Satellite cities,
100%. Like the Bradfield, I think it's called the Bradfield expansion in the city out west that they're building in Sydney West.
Yep.
I think it's called the Bradfield City. That is in play at the moment. That was basically in planning from last year, approval of planning last year.
Yeah.
But there's like 5 years worth of aggressive build, before that even starts to make a dent. People need education. They need schooling. They need their own income from their own revenue streams of their profession, which then have to be established in those sectors of employment.
It's hard to build a city.
Forever.
It's very hard to build a city.
Yeah.
There are, I think the regional towns is probably where it's at more so, because they do actually have the infrastructure and they already are a mini city. It's more just bringing more amenity there, so it's actually more appealing for people to want to move there.
And I'm all for that.
Yeah.
And while I said there's only 8 major cities, there are 8 major cities, but there's so many satellites, and they're brilliant. I mean, the way that they're gentrifying at the moment, like look at Maroochydore, even though it's on the skirts. But look at Maroochydore in 2016 compared to today. 10 years later, how gentrified that place has become. It's done a massive flip. But I guess we were sort of going off topic here and definitely more into my stream of the industry than yours. But tell me about sort of how your demographic of clients has changed over time, because while you do serve first home buyers predominantly, what are their sort of expectations around the service, and what are their expectations around what they could have achieved and got into in those days versus now? How's that sort of been navigated around from a business perspective?
Yeah, so we service first and next home buyers, and the funny thing is now that we've been around long enough, we're getting the person who bought their first home with us now to buy their next, because it's sort of 5 to 7 year hold. So that's started to happen, which has been really exciting. We've seen people, be newlyweds and then they've had their baby and now they're upsizing. That's really cool to be part of.
Nice.
And one client comes to mind where they only had a 4 year hold and it was earlier than expected to move, but they were ready. And they were like, wow, we really to get the next thing up. The jump is so crazy.
Yep. To
go from a 2-bedroom villa unit, put a circle around 800K, to then be in house territory in the same suburb or neighbouring suburb, you're probably looking 1.3, not 100% double, but definitely
it's
fair
a
injection.
Big leap.
Yes, and unless your salary has changed drastically.
Which it hasn't, because not by indexation rate at least.
No, not at all. But a lot of people, and it's a topic that's not spoken about enough, but inheritance plays a lot of part in people's jump.
Yeah.
Even if it's not their next home, their first home, I'm actually getting a lot of calls from people being like, I actually have an early inheritance or a large gifted sum of money and I want to spend it right, and where do I spend it? And I actually find that those people, to be honest, are probably a little less realistic on what their money buys, because it's not like, it is their money, but it's not their money, if that makes sense. Whereas the ones who have been saving the deposit, keeping an eye on the market, they know exactly, like, they're not being too ambitious. They know, I've got X, I can buy Y. But yeah, inheritance just plays a big part in the marketplace that we work in.
It's a good point, because as soon as you get the inheritance, you then automatically assume that you can buy. And so your expectation is set from there.
Yes.
And that's probably where the nurture doesn't exist, of knowing what you should be looking at.
Yeah, you got to spend research time in the market.
100%.
And you kind of got to be burnt to then be like, okay, I've been knocked down a few pegs, I understand what I can afford now. Yeah.
We have that come into the business at time to time as well, where we see new money from inheritance being passed down, and then they want to buy into an investment property. And the idea of an investment property is misunderstood, because an investment property does not need to look pretty. No. It needs to serve the purpose.
Yes.
And while it should not give you a headache, that's obviously number one. You don't want it to cost you money while you're holding it. But it certainly just needs to be understood more, that the demographic needs to be satisfied with the asset.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's really where investors miss the mark when they come into new money.
It's emotional money though.
Yeah.
The place that it's come from is not a transaction, it's a family member most of the time. And so we actually find a lot of the time when it's inheritance money and they've gotten to the point of they're realistic and we've found something they like, letting go of that money is actually really difficult.
Yes.
There's an emotional element to it that people, even with people who have saved their own money, seeing that bank account decline when you've been feeding money into it for years and years, and then all of a sudden transfer 100K into this agent's trust account, please. They're like, oh, is that the right thing to do? Like, all this money.
It is scary. And I think, that whole process also, because it is personal money.
Yeah.
So they feel like the personal delivery of what can I get back needs to be the best thing it can be.
Got to be valuable.
Yes. And there's a lot of, I'm sure you've probably come across this quite a lot, where the first presentation of a property isn't the right one just because it's the first presentation.
Yeah.
And then the next one isn't as good. And you're like, ooh. And you know it's coming.
Yes.
And you're trying to condition the client to know that is a potential option, that, the next one might not be as good as this one. How do you overcome that conversation? Because you don't want to come across sounding like you're spruiking the property. It's the worst thing that we can do for ourselves.
Absolutely. There's two preventative measures that we have in place, and one probably applies more to the home buying rather than the investor. Because a lot of, I would assume, clients come to you and go, I don't know what I'm doing. I want you to go and tell me where to put it, and I'll put it there. Like that's how I came to you. I said, I have no clue. I'll pay you to tell me where to put it, and I trust the data.
That one's done quite well. In fact, which one?
Both of them. Both of them have done well. Yeah. When people come to us, they know what they want. Yeah. They've done research. They've probably missed out on a property. You cannot work with me unless you have 3 properties that are sold in the past 3 months in your area, in your budget, and if that property came up again, you would buy it.
I like that.
So that actually, but some people will be like, oh, that's actually the one that got away because we weren't fast enough, or we didn't see the value there and now we do.
I've actually seen you post about that online.
Oh, I cannot say that summary enough.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a very good,
that's the criteria.
It's actually a really good way to sort of, what's the word? I don't want to say groom your client, but it's...
it's to get them in a mindset of this is what's realistic.
Yeah, educate them.
Yeah, it's education. Yeah. And I always say, regardless of using us, go and do the exercise, and then you'll know what's in the market. So that's number one. The second one is, and I will tell anybody who has a call with me, my team might find you the right property in week 2. If I do, or if they do, are you ready to buy?
Yeah.
And if we do find you the right property, and we know it's the right property, and you let it go, that's okay. That's fine. That's your decision. We're not pushing you into any property. You cannot refer to that property ever again. Yeah, it's not. It's a swear word. You can't bring it up because I have seen it time and time again. And then what happens is people go, "Well, I trust you." If you've seen it time and time again, is this one of those unicorn properties? Yes. Equally, if I can find you better, I'll let you know I can find better. Yeah. Because a lot of the time we actually spend a lot of time talking to people out of properties. Yeah. Than into properties.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They bring them to you?
No, as in they. We might have a few selections, right? And we can see the shining star of like, this is the one. But it might feel a certain way or look a certain way. There's a lot of emotion involved, and people don't buy on logic when they're buying their own home. Yeah. Ever.
Yeah. No.
So we,
It's all emotion
talk about
based.
resale, we
Yeah.
talk about longevity, like why one would serve you better than another based on us being the non-emotional level head. So we actually do, people buy what they want to buy. It's their home.
How often do you come up with a buyer who's almost double mindset? I want to buy this to live in it, but I want to sell it down the track, and this is a potentially 36-month play or 48-month play.
So really our minimum hold time is 5 years. Like if I'm working with someone, I'm not giving them guarantee of any shift in 5 years.
Right.
But also the decision-making process has to be based on, can you see yourself living here and does it meet your must-have criteria? Not will it go up by X in X amount of time. If someone in a discovery call is like, oh, it is my first home, but I want to leverage the super saver scheme and the, stamp duty exemption, and then I'm going to flip it to an investment, we don't buy those properties.
Yeah. That mindset is one of the hardest to condition.
Oh, it's the hardest. I'm like, go and be a rent investor. If you're buying it for an investment, it's not a home, it's an investment.
You need to really be somebody who can have the strength of living in an area that you do not want.
Yes.
In a product that you do not like.
Yeah.
And be able to really put up with the punches of those decisions that you're making. Because you are, as soon as you flip that switch, you are now an investor. You're living in your investment, but you're then an investor.
Well, what happens is when people come to me and they have that mindset, what they can afford where they want to live is a 2-bedroom apartment that you wouldn't categorically buy as an investment.
Absolutely not.
So then don't buy it. Yeah. If it's for, buy it as your home. Yeah. The other flip side of that is I do get a lot of people coming to me going, I know this property is probably not going to go up in value and I'm okay with that. I want a home I can call my own. I want security and I want you to find me the best possible one that there is.
Curious. Yeah. Around that, are those usually units or houses?
They're apartments.
Apartments?
Yeah, apartments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Generally speaking, any villa units, townhouses or houses we buy in areas that we buy in, they're going up. They're not. But the apartments, newer build with amenity, and it's a lifestyle choice. They're just
comfort,
they're not
ease,
they're not going up.
Yeah.
But the client tells me that. I don't have to tell them. They're like, I know it's not going to go up. Good that you know that because I was going to tell you that.
And I guess that's kind of where your question comes from. Why are people not buying more apartments?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense. And I think, I love the idea of, so for me, when I talk about space, I want space.
Yes.
I want to see space. I don't need it in front of me. I don't need to step on it, but I need a view. I need aspect. I need
absolutely
the feeling of luxury, and that's basically nobody in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
That's kind of what I'm looking for.
My ultimate purchase would be a penthouse that doesn't share. It is a true penthouse.
Yeah.
Apartment living.
Double-story penthouse.
Private
a little
lift.
bit of outside entertainment area. Yeah.
I've got my eye on one I can't afford in Melbourne at the moment.
You need a buyer's agent? No, I'm joking. So you touched on your team. Let's go there.
Yeah.
How's it going?
He's good.
You've got some new additions as well?
Yeah. So Harry's been with me for coming up 4 years, which is actually wild to say.
And Harry's your brother?
Harry's my brother, not my husband, as some people think. And also, he's my younger brother by 6 years. A lot of people are like, oh, which one of you is older? Also, people think it's his business, not mine.
Really?
You just swoon on in here. No, Harry is honestly so valuable in many, many ways. But I know that we have the same moral alignment and he is looking after the clients the same way that I would be doing so, which sets the tone for the culture in the office when you have two family members. And we always say, we're colleagues first, siblings second, because there is an age gap between us. We've actually spent more time in our adult lives together than probably we did in our informative years, because he was 12 when I moved out of home. So I was 18.
Yeah, okay.
So, yes, he was my little brother up until that point, but in terms of actually having a relationship which you form more when you're a bit older, we were not together. It's actually been the best thing ever, because we have the same foundation, but we're very much... We talk about work more than we talk about,
It's probably a really good business benefit as well. I mean, you've got you understand where you come from, but you're also not overly close that you can't, you can still have those conversations that need to happen for, the right reasons.
Yeah.
But you've got somebody that you can actually bounce off quite aggressively too.
Quite easily. And people often say, oh, what's it like working with your brother? People expect me to say we fight or we argue. Yeah. We don't.
He's such a calm person though too.
He is, isn't he?
And we've got Mitch in the business, same. Yeah. Pretty much the same characters. Yeah. And Mitch is great too. He's such a very calm level, absolutely weapon negotiator.
You need that though.
Yeah.
You need the calm. Harry is very calm and measured. But what I've discovered...
By the way, the rest of the boys and girls are just
everyone's amazing, guys.
It's just that Harry reminds me very much so of Mitch.
I would say the more that time goes on and the more... So we did a retreat recently. I took the Harry and Georgia down to Flinders and we just had a weekend away. It was so nice.
Yeah, nice.
But what came out of that is how we're wired so differently. And this is like scientifically male-female wiring, right?
Yeah.
Harry is facts. Georgia and I are over here on feelings and we're like, okay, we need to somehow come into this middle ground because, and we do, and our clients benefit from it too because they get both ends of the scale. But Harry's like, right, process, data, numbers. Georgia and I are like, how does it feel? Is that the right thing to do? Like, so it's amazing.
The natural quality is against
I just
male
never
and
seen
female,
it so
though.
clearly though, because I feel like I knew just in, general relationships and partnerships in business that it was always there. But to see it evolve so much over time, it's like, okay, I understand how that could be the case. And honestly, my business would not have the systems it does if it wasn't for Harry.
Yeah.
Like he came in and he's like, oh, okay, we need to
you
can't just feel that you need to go and buy a property. Like we need to know that you need to buy a property.
Yeah.
So there's so much that he's come in and changed. And then Georgia she's our newest addition. Georgia actually used to be a buyer manager on the sales side. So she wasn't listing the property. She wasn't going in to call up and get business.
Okay.
She would, once her colleague had listed the property, she would manage the campaign and look after all the buyers and marry the buyers up to the properties.
Right.
So she was being effectively a buyer's agent within an agency.
Interesting position.
Yeah, great skill set to have. And area knowledge, she's in the same area that we're buying in.
Oh, magic.
So,
nice.
so it's been great. And the two of them are really like, having a young dynamic team is so awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
are you looking at expanding it out or you want to keep it the size it is? Because I know...
This is a daily question for me.
Well, I mean, look, put it into perspective of today's climate and the sentiment drop.
Yeah.
Imagine you had a big team.
Yeah.
That would hurt.
It would hurt. And so coming back to the education piece, like my goal is to have more impact in home buying space, which means at scale, probably means through courses, advisory calls, things that I can do plenty of.
Yeah.
Our service isn't for everybody, and I'm very well aware of that. If we were to expand, it would have to be geographically in Melbourne to replace me in the southeast area, basically, which I've always said. I just think I can't let go of it. I love the southeast so much. I don't know if I could let someone else buy there.
Is this potentially why you're up in Sydney so much?
No. Do you know what I love about Sydney?
What's that?
Sydney is so inspiring because you have to have so much hustle to keep up here.
Yeah.
Like you can't live in Sydney and be mediocre. It's just not possible.
I don't think you can do that in Australia.
Well,
maybe it's just because I've spent all my life here in Sydney.
Possibly.
Right.
I feel like other areas are more attainable from a price point of view. There's a bit more comfort there. I just feel like Sydney is just another level. And I really want to go to New York. Apparently that's like Sydney on steroids, right?
Yeah, right.
And I've never been.
Yet, yeah.
No?
No, never yet. Not yet.
Yeah, I think it'd be good.
I'd love to go. Let me know when you go.
Yeah.
Come over.
Yeah, 100%. But that's why Sydney just gives me inspiration. And also if my role is to produce content and do calls, I can do that from anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think that's kind of the way that a lot of the businesses in our industry are probably going to be starting to shift towards in the future. Just understanding that we are so economically dependent of voices that are quite literally making the wrong decisions at the moment.
Yes.
Government.
Yeah.
And this is probably why Australia is such a big investor landscape too, because people want to look after themselves.
Yeah.
Because they know that the decisions that they make, or rather the decisions that get made, are those that impact people outside of their ability to control them.
Yeah.
And so I think, as long as Aussies are Aussies, they're going to figure out that investing is going to be the best way that they can look after their livelihoods.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, with the business and like sort of what you've done in the past, we've seen how sort of motivated you are to build things and create spaces that support people. What else are you working on at the moment?
Well, I think the biggest gap in the market is first-home buyers who want access to advice but can't afford a full service BA.
Okay.
And that's always been on my radar. That's why I make content. There's so much free stuff people can get from me. That's why I do webinars, all that sort of stuff. I did Sunday school where people came in and learnt for 6 hours how to buy a house. That's not very scalable though. So I, at the moment, am in creation mode, building mode.
That's Sunday schools, just before we move on. Was that in person?
In person.
I remember those. Those were really good events.
They actually did better than I expected because I didn't know if the marketplace would be there for someone to sit down and learn for 6 hours. I mean, we had breaks, but it literally took them through the entire buying journey. I taught them how to be their own buyer's agent.
So good.
And they took all this resource with them. And I've had people write in and afterwards being like, this is how I bought my home. I followed this and this, it worked.
Love that.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
So it's basically wanting to do that, but on scale.
Yeah.
Or at scale. So I'm looking at making a product, or I have started making a product where Sunday school's been digitized into videos,
nice.
How-to videos in a classroom setting. But then there's also an element of me doing advisory on, at the moment, only Melbourne. So because I want to be able to give direct advice and know the areas, I'm very much like, if I don't pretend to be something I'm not, like if someone came to me and said, I'm thinking about these 2 properties in Sydney, which one do you think? Like, I don't know Sydney. That's why I'm here to learn Sydney. I have no idea about Sydney.
We get the questions too. There's 15,000 suburbs. Well, I mean, they say there's 15,000 suburbs in Australia. There's really only about 4,200 investable suburbs in Australia.
Yeah.
But and that just means there's enough transaction in the suburbs for it to be classified as investable. But we get the question a lot, like, what do you think about this property in this market? Even in Sydney, I live in Sydney. But I'm like, sorry, no. It's not my data because we're not buying here at the moment.
Literally, someone asked me about a neighbouring suburb the other day. Like, we have hard borders. They're like, what about Essendon? I'm like, I literally don't know the median. I have no idea. I live in a bubble.
I get it.
And if you're not in my bubble, I don't know. I can't give you advice. So it'll be Melbourne specific. But what I think might happen over time is more of the piece of before they buy, like, what avenue should I go down and why, in that they might be considering a smaller purchase closer in, larger purchase further out. It's more that counselling role, I guess, of talking them through, okay, well, I've seen plenty of case scenarios. Here's how this could play out. Here are your options. From that sort of, I'd say it's counselling as opposed to advice.
And so this is like an educational platform where people can sign up, come in, have a understanding of the process, figure out how to value their assets that they're looking at, understand where the market was, where it's going.
All of that, resources to find off-market properties themselves, how to place an offer, how to bid at auction, all that sort of
Predominantly home buyers?
It'll be, just first-home buyers. Okay. Well, not just first-home buyers. Anyone who's buying a home to live in. Owner.
I think that's super valuable. It's going to put a lot of justified logic into the price of a property because at the rate of where things are moving and potentially expected to come into, especially in Melbourne, being at the bottom of the market now, soon to rise. Very well timed. I think if you can get this out.
For sure. I think the biggest thing though outside of price is people actually don't know process.
No.
People are like, okay, I like this house now. What do I do with it?
Yeah.
Like first home buyers who are green, who might be the first person in their family to buy a home as well. I'm seeing a lot of that of late. Well, okay, how do I place an offer? If it says it's 6 or 650, like what do I do as my first one? And do I get the building and pest done once I buy? Like people just don't know process.
How far under quoted is this? And like let's work out sort of where my barrier has to expand up to. And when I say under quoted, more how undervalued. Let's put it that way because let's hope nobody is doing any underquoting.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. But like it's understanding sort of where the parameters sit within the pricing model. I think that's really valuable. A lot of people can benefit from that. Yeah,
I'm excited for that. It also just means
when's that going to be done?
Oh, that's a big question. I don't know. Soon.
It'll never be finished though. That's the thing, right?
I know.
Because things always change.
It always, I think it's about making it like evergreen content.
For sure.
And then I can do updates in the form of webinar recordings or whatever else that can be distributed to people.
Yep, nice.
But I think the biggest thing is just adding value that people go, I need that. Because I know they need it because I can see it. But sometimes when you're doing it for the first time, you have no idea what you need.
Love it. How do we, when will we expect to hear about this coming out?
Well, you're putting pressure on me.
I know. Listen, diamond only forms under pressure.
Look, I would say like September by the latest.
Okay, nice. Well, I look forward to seeing it. And thank you so much for joining us today at the Lazy Equity Podcast. We've thoroughly enjoyed having you in, as we always do. And enjoy the rest of your time here in Sydney. Please ring us up again when you come through and we'll do this all again and maybe get some other of our industry fellows in for another one.
A round table maybe.
I think we should. We'll call up Jackie and get him.
Yeah, why not?
Get old Jack's opinion involved and have a bit of a powwow.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds good.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Cheers. My pleasure.